10th. Today, we are continuing with the subject Science and Technology Part 2. Before moving to the subject, I would like to give some instructions to you all. Like, keep your mic on mute mode. Kindly raise your hand if you want to ask any doubt, question, or if you want to give an answer. After giving your answer, after asking your doubt or question, kindly mute your mic again. Keep your pen, notebook handy to write down some important points. Do not make use of your mobile when it's charging because it's very dangerous. And lastly, you just have to update your Zoom profile by writing your name, standard, division, and your school name. Some of the students are following these instructions. I'm very happy for that. And some of you have changed your name in the Zoom. Very good student. Very well done for that. So today we are moving to our topic. Before starting the topic, I will like to take a quick revision of the previous topic. So we have started with the lesson number 6, animal classification. In what is animal classification? Grouping the animals and subgrouping them in different groups, that is known as animal classification. So all animals are grouped under kingdom Animalia. That kingdom is subdivided into subkingdom non-chordates and subkingdom chordates. We have completed non-chordates, 10 phylums we have completed, and we have started with the phylum Chordata. So this is a flowchart showing where the kingdom Animalia is divided into subkingdom chordates, and that is again into one phyla that is also known as Chordata, and that Chordata is divided into 3 subphylums, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata, Vertebrata. So here Urochordata, the examples are Herdmania, Doliolum, Ocuplura, because they have a notochord only present in tail region. That is why they are known as Urochordates. Then cephalochordates, the example is Amphioxus, and these are the vertebrates. They are also known as Craniata. So I would like to show you one video to take a quick revision, a very small video. You will see here, and we will have the revision of the same. cephalochordates, and subphylum Vertebrata. Now see, subphylum Vertebrata is also divided into subclasses. Classes like 6 classes are there. So Vertebrata is divided into Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and Mammalia. So kingdom Animalia divided into subkingdoms, and subkingdom is divided into phylum, and this phylum is subdivided into subphyla, and this subphyla Vertebrata is divided into classes. These are the classes. So we will learn about these classes in today's session. So we will start first with this class Cyclostomata. So cyclostomata, the name cyclo, which means a round, and stoma means a mouth. A cyclostoma, the name is given because of their round mouth. Okay, they have a round mouth, they are jawless, that is why they are known as cyclostomata. They are primitive vertebrates, means they are showing a primitive characteristics, early characteristics of vertebrate. They are not fully vertebrate, they are primitive vertebrates. They are showing early characteristics of vertebrates. Due to their circular mouth, they are named cyclostomata, and they also called as a eel. They look like a snake, but they are not snakes. Okay, they are classified under the superclass Agnatha because of jawless. They don't have a jaw. That is why they are classified under the superclass Agnatha. So all Agnathas are cyclostomes. So let us have a characteristics one by one. These animals have jawless mouth. I told you they don't have a jaw. They just have a round shape mouth which has a suckers. So here you can see the sucker. These animals have jawless suckers, round mouth which has suckers, and these suckers are very important to hold any kind of a object or any kind of a organism. They are horny teeth that are attached to the muscular tongue. You can see they are attached to the muscular tongue. They are horny, and they are like teeth, and by which they attach themselves to the side of the fish and other organism. What is the function of this sucker? They attaches themselves to the other organism with the help of this sucker. So these are jawless, and they have a round mouth. Because of round mouth, they are known as cyclostomes. Okay. See about their skin is soft and without any scale. Here you can see their skin is soft, means not hard, it is very soft, slimy, like a slippery one, and smooth, and they don't have joint appendages. Appendages means you can say a projection or outgrowth on any part of the body. They don't have appendages. They just have a without scale body which is soft, slimy. Okay. Their endoskeleton is cartilaginous. I told you cartilaginous means made up of cartilage. Endoskeleton means the endo means inside or inner part, and skeleton means the framework which is inside the body. So endoskeleton is the inner framework of that organism's body, which is cartilaginous. Cartilaginous means made up of cartilage. And what is cartilage? Cartilage is a tough but flexible tissue, mainly made up of connective tissue. Okay, these are tough, hard, rigid, but not that much of compared to bone, but they are flexible and made up of connective tissue. So when the endoskeleton is made up of cartilage, that endoskeleton is known as cartilaginous endoskeleton. What is the function of this endoskeleton? It provides supports to the body. It supports the body of the organism. It gives protection to the internal organs of the body. It gives shapes to the organism's body, and it helps to the quick movement in the water. Whenever the organism wants to move in the water, it gives the quick, because it gives a quick movement, because it is a flexible in nature. So endoskeleton, the main function of the endoskeleton is to protect and to give the motion or quick movement in the water. So this is about the endoskeleton of cyclostomata. Then most of the animals are ectoparasite. Ecto, I told you, ecto means outside or outer, and parasite means an organism which dependent on the other organism for nourishment. So when ectoparasite means a organism which is dependent on the host, but not inside. They are attaching themselves on side, outer side of the body of the host, and they suck the blood, or they take the nutrition from other organism. So these organisms are known as ectoparasites. So here you can see a cyclostome is attached to the fish by sucker, and they are taking nutrition from this host. So most of the cyclostomatides are ectoparasite. So some examples of these cyclostomata are petromyzone and myxine. You can see in this picture, these are the examples of petromyzone or myxine, examples of cyclostomata. They are cyclostome because of their round mouth, which are provided with the suckers. Suckers help them to attach themselves to other organisms and to hold some other objects. Okay, so this is about the cyclostomata. In there, the sexes are separate. Maybe they are unisexual or maybe hermaphrodite. Some cyclostomes are hermaphrodite, means male and female reproductive organs are present in the same animal. So this is about the cyclostomata. Then we will go for the next class, which is class Pisces. So as you can see on the picture, you will see the picture of a fish. So class Pisces belong to the fishes. All fishes are included in the class Pisces. So see, they are they live in water. Okay, so all fishes lives in water. They have a jaw. They are not jawless. They have a jaw, and they are vertebrates, means they have a vertebral columns. Okay, they have a specific organs for respiration, for digestion, for excretion, and for they have a closed type of blood circulation. So all these systems are present in these animals. They are cold-blooded animals, and sexes are separate, or they show fertilization maybe internal or maybe external. So let us see the characteristics one by one here. These are cold-blooded animals, aquatic animals. Aquatic means they are living in the water. So what are cold-blooded animals? So first of all, we will start with the cold-blooded animals. Animals that are not capable of regulating their body temperature according to temperature of the surrounding. So these animals, which are cold-blooded animals, they are not able to maintain their body temperature according to the surrounding. They are not able to maintain their constant body temperature. As the temperature in the environment decreases or increases, their body temperature also fluctuates. So when there is a rise in temperature, their body temperature rises. If there is a decrease in temperature, their body temperature decreases. We, the human beings, we are not cold-blooded animals. We are warm-blooded animals. We can constantly, we can maintain our body temperature in any kind of a surrounding. Likewise, these animals are not able to regulate their body temperature. The body temperature fluctuates constantly according to the environment. For example, if it is 10 degrees Celsius outside their body temperature will drop down to the 10 degrees centigrades. Okay, so what is the benefit of this? Cold-blooded animals, they need a less food to survive, as the less energy is required for the survival. So cold-blooded animals, just have to keep in mind, cold-blooded animals are not able to regulate their body temperature according to the environment or surrounding temperature. Okay, let us talk about this poikilotherms. They are also known as poikilotherms or ectotherms. Poikilotherms means what? The word derived from the Greek word. It is derived from the Greek word. Poikilos means varied, and therms means heat. So varied heat. So poikilotherm is an animal whose internal temperature varies considerably, and they are also known as ectotherm because they are not able to control their body temperature. That is why they are known as poikilotherms. So cold-blooded animals are also known as poikilotherms, and poikilotherms are also, you can say, they are ectotherms. Okay, so these are the animals which are belonging to the class Pisces. They are cold-blooded and they are also known as poikilotherms. thumbs. Okay. All the and one more thing, they can heat and cool themselves by moving in and out of the sun. They can regulate their body temperature by moving inside the when they can come inside, they can come under the sun, or they can move inside the water. As per this, they can regulate their body temperature. Okay. So the cold-blooded animal are class Pisces. They are cold-blooded animals, and poikilothms. Poikilo means varied heat. Poi, which is poikilo, which is a Greek word, means the varied, and therms means heat. So cold-blooded animals. All the Pisces are cold-blooded animals, or they are known as poikilotherms or ectotherms. So these class Pisces, they are aquatic animals, lives in marine and fresh water. You can see they are marine, or they may found in a fresh water. So, but they are aquatic. They live in water. So these are aquatic animals, lives in marine water, salty water, or not a salty water, which is a fresh water naturally occurring, but not sea or ocean. That fresh water, that is known as fresh water. Okay. Now, see, vertebrates or craniata, subphylum Vertebrata craniata, they are classified into class Pisces. The body structure. The body is spindle shaped to minimize water resistance. You can see in the reds here marking, the body is spindle shaped. Spindle means what? It is wide in between, in the middle of this shape. You can see they are wide and they are tapering at the ends. Okay, so this is called a spindle shaped body. Why they must be having a spindle shaped body? Because see, when there is a body, it is a spindle shape, it gives less friction of water and body, and which allows them to push forward and maintain their speed in the water. Okay, this resists the water resistance, and they allow, this body shape allows these fishes to move forward in any direction in very fast speed without using much energy. Okay, so that is why their body is spindle shape. Spindle means wide in middle and tapering at the end. Okay. Let's see the next one, that is they have paired and unpaired fins for swimming. Okay, they have paired and unpaired fins for swimming. See here, you can see they have many fins, like dorsal fin, tail fin, anal fin, pelvic fin, pectoral fin. So what are fins? Fins, let us have a little bit about the fins. Flattened appendages or outgrowth on various part of the body of many aquatic vertebrates. So it is a flat appendages or outgrowth on the any part of this aquatic animal. They are known as fins, and here you can see there are different types of fin present over this animal. So let us see what is the use of this fin. The use They use these fins for propelling, steering, and balancing themselves. Propelling means what? Pushing forward. They can push themselves by these fins in forward direction. They can steer themselves, mean they can move and they can control their direction. They can move in any direction, and they can balance. They can stabilize their body in the water with the help of this fins. Okay, so let us see what is the function of this dorsal fin, what is the function of this tail fin, anal fin, pelvic fin, and pectoral fin. We start with the pectoral fin. They are on either side of the body, and they are used for the locomotion by side by side. If they want to move in sideways, they can use this pectoral fin. And other fins, dorsal, anal, and pelvic fins, they are used to give a stability to that particular organism in water. And most important, that is the back fin, or you can say a tail fin. That tail fin is also known as caudal fin, and it is also used for steering the body to control the direction in the water. So but if the organism wants to change their direction, they can make use of this caudal fin. Okay, so these are the different kinds of fins. They are in paired or unpaired fins you can find on the aquatic animals, and the function of these fins are propelling, steering, and having a stability in the water. To move forward, to control their direction, to stable themselves in the water, they make use of these fins. Okay. So tail fin is used as a steering organ during swimming. So here you can see a tail fin. Whatever the aquatic animals have the tail fin, that is used as a that is also known as caudal fin, and it is used for the controlling their direction, steering. As vehicle has a steer, that with the help of their steering we can control the direction of the vehicle. In this way, this aquatic animal control their directions with the help of this tail fin. Okay, got this much? So you may get a question to label this. What is this tail called as? This is a caudal fin or tail fin. Okay. Now see the exoskeleton. Exoskeleton is in the form of scales. Exoskeleton. I told you exo means outer and skeleton means covering. So outer covering over the skin is present on this fishes. That is in the form of scales. So what is the scale? Just have a little bit about the scales. They are small, thin, horny or bony plates protecting skin of the fish. They are flat, bony, hard, and they are over the skin of the fish for protection. So main function of this scale is to protect their body or the body and skin of that particular organism. So these are the scales, small, thin, horny and bony plates protecting their skin, and they are arranged overlapping each other. They are arranged overlapping each other. You can say, if you see the fish, you can see these scales, and you can remove that with your hands also. They are like a disc-like or circular in shape, somewhat not circular, oval in shape, but they are hard and thick. Okay, they are bony plates over the skin of this animal. Okay, so they have a exoskeleton in the form of scale. The main function of this exoskeleton is the protection. Okay, they provide smoothness to the body of overlapping each other. Because of their overlapping to each other, they also provide a smoothness to the body of this animal, and because of this smoothness, they reduces the friction of the water and body. The friction reduces means they can move faster in the water. Due to smoothness, they can move faster in the water. And multiple overlapping on the scale gives a flexibility also. They gives a flexibility to this organism, and they are helping to maintain the speed throughout the water. So exoskeleton made up of this scale. Scale is a small, thin, horny, bony plates placed overlapping each other. They give the smoothness to the body as well as flexibility. Smoothness of the body reduces the water resistance or water friction and body friction, so that animal can move faster in the water. And overlapping of the scales gives the flexibility which also helps into moving in any direction in the water. Okay, so this is about the exoskeleton which is present on in the class Pisces. Now when we talk about the endoskeleton, exo means outer, but when we are talking about the endoskeleton is either cartilaginous or bony. So endoskeleton, again we will go for the word endoskeleton. Endo means inner and skeleton means a covering, means inside a framework or inside covering. The whatever the framework is present inside the body of that organism, that framework is known as endoskeleton. When it is made up of cartilaginous, it is a cartilaginous or bony. Cartilaginous means what? The covering, whatever the endoskeleton they have, inner framework of the body they have, that is made up of cartilage. Cartilage is nothing but the rough and flexible tissues that are connective tissues. If the endoskeleton is made up of this cartilage, the endoskeleton is known as cartilaginous endoskeleton. Which what is the function of this endoskeleton? It is elastic, tough but flexible, and because of their flexibility, they allow quick movements through water without using much energy. Okay, so this is the function of cartilaginous endoskeleton, which gives the flexibility, and without using a much energy, the animal can move faster in water. So cartilaginous means made up of cartilage, or cartilage means it is made up of connective tissue. Connective tissue are tough but flexible tissues. Okay, so and when we're talking about the bony endoskeleton, bones means it is little bit hard, rigid than cartilage. It is hard. Whenever we are talking about the bone, bone is made up of protein, minerals and vitamins, calcium, phosphate. So it is hard and it is tough, and it provides the protection to the inner body of these organism. They give shapes to the body, they give supports to the body. Both the endoskeleton gives shape, support to the body, and when it is it provides support, and it is main function of this endoskeleton is to protect the internal organ of the body, and it allows the movements of the body when it is moving in the water. They gives support, and they allow organism to move in very using less energy. So this is about the endoskeleton. Exoskeleton is made up of scales. Endoskeleton is maybe cartilaginous or maybe bony. Okay, so respiration occurs with gills. So they have a particular respiratory organ which is known as gills. Gills are present on either side of the body. They are paired respiratory organ present on either side of the body, which extract the dissolved oxygen. Whatever the oxygen is dissolved in water, they extract the water and they excrete out CO2. Okay, they excrete out CO2 with the help of gills, so they can respire in water. See how the respiration takes place. See, when the water moves through the gills, the dissolved oxygen from the water passes through the thin walls of the gills. Gills have a thin walls, and that water passes through this thin water, this thin membranes or thin sheet. They absorb the dissolved oxygen and give out to the CO2 which is present inside the body. In this way, the respiration is taking place in the aquatic animals. Okay, so examples of this phylum Pisces are rohu, pomfret, seahorse, shark, electric ray, stingray. These are the examples of this phylum Pisces. Okay, let us see the different class, which is a third number of class. This is amphibia, and in the picture you can see a frog and toad. So what are amphibians? The word amphibian come from the Greek word amphibious, which means to live double life. They can live a double life. See here, amphi means both kinds, and bios means life. Life of both sides means they can live two double life. That is why they are known as amphibians. The word is used for animals that spend part of their lives on water as well as on land. So you can see this frog lives in water as well as in land. That is why they are known as amphibians. Okay. Here you can see they have mouth, they have trunk, their soft body, their appendages, tympanum. Here you can see the toad. Okay, they have a rough skin like a frog. Okay, so we will have their characteristics one by one. These animals are strictly aquatic during larval life. If you see their immature form, that is the larva, they are strictly aquatic because they have gills and they have a tail. So with the help of gills, they can respire in the water. That is why they live a strictly aquatic life during their larval stage. But when they mature, they become an adult, they can live in water as well as on the land. Okay. So during larval life and performs only aquatic respiration, whereas they can live in water as well as land during adult life and can perform aquatic as well as aerial respiration. So they can perform both the type of respiration, because when they are larva they have a gills, and when they go through that, they develops into adult, their gills develop into the lungs, and they have a lungs as well as lungs which helps them to do a aerial respiration. Like us, they can respire in air. And when they are in water, their skin is made in such a way they can respire through their skin. So dissolved oxygen can be taken in with the help of skin, and CO2 is given out with the help of skin when they are in the water. So they have both the type of respiration, like skin and lung respiration. So they can respire inside the water with the help of skin, and they can respire in the air with the help of lungs. Okay. But skin plays a very important role in respiration. Okay. You can keep in mind that their skin is made in such a way they can respire inside the water. So frogs plays dual respiration, like they respire in water as well as land. With the help of skin they respire in water, and with the help of lungs they respire in air or in the land. They have two pair of appendages. You can see here, appendages means any outgrowth on the body of an organism is known as appendages. So here they have a appendages, you can say they legs or limbs, they have a paired appendages to jump on the land. Here digits are without claws. Here you can see digits. What is the meaning of digits? In Latin, digitus means finger or toe. You can say finger or toe of this frog. They are known as digits, and they are without claws. Claws means what? A curved, pointed, horny nail on each digits of the foot. If you see, if you can't see a claws on these frogs, but claws are the tough and curved nails. You can see on dogs, when they talk they make noise, and in a cat they also have that horny nails to scratch, to hold something. Okay. To tear something, they use that pointed nails. That pointed nails are nothing but the claws. But if you talk about these amphibians, they have no claws. So fingers or toes. Here digits means finger and toes. They are without claws. Exoskeleton is absent. You can see here there is no hair for scale present over the skin. Though you can they are their exoskeleton outer covering is absent, but their skin is made up of some kind of particular system that can respire in water, and they have mucus gland. Skin is without any derivatives and usually kept moist for respiration. So I told you they have no hair, the hair like follicles or scales on their body. Their body is smooth, and the skin has a mucus gland to keep their body moist. It is very important. If the body of this frog is not moist, they are not able to survive. So it is very important to keep their body moist to respire in water. Now see, external ear is absent but tympanum is present. Now external ear, what is external? If you talk about the external, so it is outside. External means outer part. So when human beings, we have a external ear, but in amphibia they lack in external ear. So what is the function of external ear? It function of is to collect sound waves and guide them to the tympanic membrane. It is a function of external ear, but it is absent in amphibia, but tympanum is present. you can say is tympanum or tympanum. So tympanum, what is the function of tympanum? Here you can say it is a ear frog. Ear of the frog is known as tympanum. It is circle behind the frog's eye. Here you can see these eyes of the frog. In behind that you will find this tympanum, and you an air-filled chamber and sensory to detect auditory stimuli. They are air-filled chambers and they are very stimulus, sensory stimulus. They identify the stimulus. They identify the waves of the vibrations of the sound. So you can say it is the ear of the frog which is present behind the eyes. Okay, it is a hearing organ of the amphibian. Here also in this picture you can see tympanum. So external ear is absent, but they have a tympanum so that they can detect any auditory stimulus. Okay. Here neck is absent. You can see the body of this frog. Here you cannot see the neck, as we have a neck. Human beings have a neck which separates our head and our rest of the body. But in amphibia, neck is absent, and eyes are prominent with eyelids. Prominent eyes means what? They have protruding or bulging eyes. See, they have a very big eyes. They are protruding eyes. You can say they are protruding eyes or bulging eyes. Tend to sit more on the outside side of the socket of area. They, whatever the eye area is there, they are located little bit outer side of that eye socket. So they looks like bulging and protruding eyes. Okay. And they have a eyelids. Like eyelids, we do also have a eyelid. It is a thin skin fold which covers the eye. What is the function of this eyelid? They protect the eye from any kind of a hemorrhage from outside. Okay, so they have a no, neck is absent and eyes are prominent with eyelids. I told you about the larva of amphibians leads only aquatic life. They breathe through the gills. So they are aquatic in larval stage. So these are the examples of amphibia: frog, toad, salamander, etc. These are the examples. Amphibia, they may have tail, like salamander has a tail, or frog doesn't have a tail. They may have a tail or may not have a tail, but they are amphibians because they can live their life on land as well as in water. If you see the difference between frog and toad, so here they look similar, but their body structure is little bit different. Say, like frog has a plain skin or smooth slimy skin. Here you can see toad has a little bit rough and more rough, bumpy, dry skin, and they have a short hind leg to hop on the land. Toad has a short hind leg, where the frog has a big hind limbs to hop on the land. And if you think about the toad are less active than frogs. Okay. Now frog can live on land as well as in water. Why they can live on land and as well as in water? Because frog belongs to class amphibia. Amphibia are adapted to live on land in as well as in water. They respire with both lungs and skin, as they have a gills in larval stage, but as they mature, their gills are developed into lungs, and they can respire through lungs on land, and in water they use their skin to respire. That is why when frog is on land, it respires through lungs, and while the water, it respires through the skin. So they perform dual respiration in water as well as in land. That is why they are live on land as well as in water. Okay. Now one more question is, why tortoise are not included in class amphibia? So tortoise also live in land as well as in water, but there are some characteristics which differs the tortoise from amphibia. Like the animal which not only live in water but also on land and respire with the both the climatic conditions are called as amphibians. Means they can respire inside the water as well as outside the water. So tortoise respires through lungs but not have a structure to respire in water. So whenever tortoise moves inside the water, they are not able to respire with the skin. They are made up of, they have a respiratory organ, lungs. So they respire only through lungs. Whenever they are moving inside the water, but they respire through lungs, you can see their nostrils are outside the water, and they take the aerial, they perform the aerial respiration. Okay. Also, tortoise lays eggs with the hard shell, with which is a characteristics of reptiles. So they lay the hard shell eggs, where the amphibians do not lay eggs with the hard shell. Okay. Tortoise has a neck, whereas neck is absent in amphibia. I told you in amphibia, frog, if you see the frog or toad, their neck is absent. Their head is directly attached to the body. But if you observe the tortoise carefully, you will see the neck in tortoise. So this is one characteristics which does not include tortoise in the class amphibia. Therefore, tortoise is not amphibian and not included in amphibia, class amphibia. Okay. Why they are not included? Because they cannot perform respiration inside the water. They have lungs, and they lay egg with the hard shell, and they have a neck. Okay. So this is about the three classes, like cyclostomata, pisces, and amphibia. Now it is a question answering round where you just have to label this diagram. I'll just give you the you just have to label this diagram. If you know the answer, you just have to raise your hand. See, what are these? You have to name this. Okay. What is the name where it is pointed out? You have to label this diagram. If you know the answer, just raise your hand. Here I can see Rupesh Singh. Rupesh, can you label this? Just unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Rupesh, go for this. Can you label this diagram? What is
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
Yes. Suckers.
Yes, these are suckers of lamprey. Very good, Rupesh. Mute yourself. So you may get this kind of a question in your exam, like label the following diagram. Okay, we'll go for the next. Okay, here again you have to label this. The next one, who knows the answer, just raise your hand. Here I can see Kshitij Vairal, Chembur Naka. If you know the answer, you can label this. Just unmute yourself.
Yes, tail fin.
It is a tail fin. Okay, very good, Kshitij. This is a tail fin. Again, you can say what is a different name, next different name for this tail fin. You can say it is a caudal fin also. Okay, very good, Kshitij. Mute yourself. We'll go for the next one. See here. Okay, now you just have to name this part of this animal. Here I can see Chandni Goshala. Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, Chandani.
Chandni, can you hear me? It is a tympanum. Okay. It is tympanum, or it is known as the ear of frog. Very good, students. You may get this kind of a questions in your exams. So you have to label it. You have to see the diagram properly. And your assignment is you have to write down the characteristics of these three classes. That is cyclostomata, pisces, and